Good morning. How are you all today? And welcome to Integrative Preparedness. How serious are you about preparedness? That's what I want to ask you. I put out one yesterday that made me wonder that about a lot of people, and so that's what I want to talk about today. A couple of things before we get to that. It looks like the shooter down there in Georgia. If you watched mine from yesterday, it's the father has been arrested for a couple of things, including second-degree murder, and it has to do with the fact that apparently he bought this rifle for the kid uh, as a Christmas present after apparently their interview with law enforcement about their concern that the kid was a danger. So the father is now in prison. And I had somebody, and I haven't been able to verify this, but usually when I get something from the folks on the Patreon channel, uh, it usually turns out to be right. Um, not to be real honest, not always the way on the YouTube channel, but on the Patreon channel, it's a little different culture there. And usually when I hear something, even if I can't verify it myself, I find that yeah, turned out to be right. Anyway, I haven't been able to verify this, but but one of our people there said that they found out the mother had been apparently the parents are separated, divorced, whatever. The mother was arrested some time ago for putting a scratch on the father's car, did some time in jail, was got caught with meth. And like I say, I'm just passing that along. Um, but it does, well, it verifies what I said yesterday, and that is it's always the parents. It's always that there has never been a kid that screwed themselves up. So that's in the news. I had finally the Hell's Angels have come out and said, no, we're not going to Aurora to handle those Venezuelan gangs. And of course, there's been a lot of channels that said that they're going to Aurora, gonna do this. You got to be careful, about this. And I of course I made a video about that as well, saying not it that doesn't sound right. And I had a couple of people ask me there to tell more stories about my time riding with the the motorcycle groups, and I'll probably do that. I will do that on Patreon. As a matter of fact, I think I'm going to do one today. I don't do that stuff on YouTube. Uh, somebody else asked, and I think this was a YouTube question when I was talking about real evil yesterday, and I said most people don't have any concept, and people go around talking about evil, evil, evil all the time, and they don't have any concept of real evil. Anything that bad or disagrees with them, they call evil, and it first off it diminishes what true evil is, and it kind of amplifies inappropriately other things. But somebody asked me, said, could you make a video about your experiences with true evil? And I said, and I'm not sure I'm going to do that. I'll tell you real honestly. I said, well, that would be a hard one to do. Really tough. And there's some of you out there who have dealt with real evil, and I mean it's otherworldly, and it would be a tough one to do. I'm not sure I'm going to do it. I'll be real honest with you on that. If I do it, again, it's probably going to be on Patreon. Now, I've mentioned that a couple of times, I'll tell you something that happened yesterday that made me ask this question: uh, Are you serious about preparedness? And what it was, I put up a couple of videos yesterday, I believe, and one of them was about homeschooling versus public schooling, because we've had a lot of questions, about that, and of course, every time there's a school shooter, people will say you got to get your kids out of public schools. And and we have done both. We have experience in both, and so I did a pretty lengthy video on comparing homeschool with public schooling, and it was very balanced. It wasn't a knee jerk, emotional like so many of these. And I have to tell, I was shocked at the response that I got over that. And now on the Patreon channel, I just got thank you for your for your even well balanced opinion on this, and thank you, and a lot of people agreeing with me. On the YouTube channel, I got some of the most vitriolic, hateful responses. I mean, I couldn't believe it. I have never gotten responses like that, and calling me everything in the world. Not only hateful, but it was vulgar. I couldn't believe some of the responses that I got, and from people who are pro homeschooling, because I said that there were instances where public schooling might be just as good. These so many people who claim that you want to homeschool because you don't want to expose your kid to hate and profanity and weird stuff and public school. I got it from it was unbelievable. It really made me think. And I took the I did something I've never done before. I took it down just because I didn't want to have to keep on going back. I saw the pattern that was coming, and I didn't want to have to keep going back and checking to remove hateful and profane comments. It just astounded me. But it taught me something. It taught me, and it reminded me of the difference between the Patreon culture and the YouTube culture. And so I just want to say this to all the good people out there, because most of the people on YouTube are just excellent people, just excellent. But I'll tell you what, there's a large enough percentage that really present a challenge. And so for you good people, I just want to say this. Consider, if you're not with us on Patreon yet, consider coming over to Patreon. The link is right down below. It just cost you $1 a month. And because I think that as a result of yesterday's, and I've seen a couple of, whenever I touch on this, the things that people claim to be real preppers, with, boy, there's a bunch in this group that just make it unjoyful. So I'll just leave it at, I'm going to make some changes. So if you are serious about preparedness, if you like this channel, seriously consider coming over to Patreon if you want the full schedule to continue for you. Okay, I'll just put it that way. Now the question is, and I'm sure there's already a comment. I'm sure that there's already a comment up there about, you just rambled for 10 minutes, or however many minutes. You didn't say anything. Well, see, that's what we get on YouTube. But the question is, all that other stuff was important. The question is, are you serious about preparedness? And this is going to be for those people who are serious about preparedness, because there's a lot of people who love to watch these channels, who consider themselves preppers. And you know what I think of that? I don't like the term preppers, because it's really kind of superficial. It describes, in my opinion, those people who kind of splash on the surface and never go deep, as opposed to PMPs, preparedness-minded people. That's what I call them. And I think there's just a lot of people in the so-called prepper world, community, if you want to call it that, but it's hardly a community because it is so fragmented. And I'm seeing more of that between those who just want to be upset all the time about something and those who really want to prepare. And so, I encourage you, look at yourself and ask that question, like I'm asking it of you now. Are you serious about preparedness? Now, in order to be serious about preparedness, you need to have a reason to be serious about it. And it doesn't take much to just look around the world and realize that you better be prepared, right? Why? Because of pretty much everything. Everything. I mean, the government, the economy, the open border, the wars in Europe, the wars in the Middle East, uh, internal conflict, uh, an enemy from without and an enemy from within, both of which, in my opinion, the enemy from without is not that dangerous, except that we're pushing them into a war. We're the ones causing that, and the enemies within are twofold. First off, they are the ones who are being imported, who hate our country, and the ones who are importing them, which is our own government. Yeah. So we have a lot to be concerned about. You know, if somebody needs a reason to prepare and they haven't found it yet, they haven't been looking very hard, right? So that's the first thing. You need a reason to prepare. And then the second thing, as we always talk about, is that real preparedness comes from a deep sense of responsibility. Or maybe I should say it comes from a sense of responsibility, and how serious you are about it depends on how deep that sense of responsibility is. And it also has to do with how much you recognize the true workings, the true dynamics of what's going on in the world. Now, if you're truly serious about preparedness, you're going to do all of the things that are necessary to separate you from dependence on the external world, right? Now, some of that can be, and it should be to an extent, keeping your eye on what's going on in the world. But the thing that keeps a lot of people from real preparedness, in my opinion, is they get too deep into all of the things that are going on externally. And it just winds them up. It gets them all upset. It gets them all afraid, gets them all frantic. And then they are all just consumed with the problems surrounding them. And it's easy to do if you watch the news, if you watch a lot of channels, prepper channels on YouTube. They pretty much just want to report all the horrible things that are going on. The problem is that diminishes the psychic energy that a person has to put into it. You've heard me say before that if you're preparing out of fear, you're preparing wrong. Okay, fear is going to misdirect your energies. It's going to cause you to waste time, money, and energy, because you're going to be doing it out of fear instead of a sense of clear thinking and responsibility. And you're going to be bouncing back and forth between the fear of the day. You know, well, today the economy is going to crash, so I'm going to buy gold. And tomorrow the whatever else is going to happen, and so I'm going to do this other thing for that. And that's not a way to approach a comprehensive plan for being prepared and separating yourself from the systems. So the first thing you have to do is separate yourself from the fear. Okay. But Steve, you didn't show us how to build a fire. You didn't tell us what to put in our bug out bags. That's because if you're serious about preparedness, my voice is getting scratchy. Let me take a sip. That's because if you're serious about preparedness, and that's what today's video is about, you're going a lot deeper than that. You can figure out how to start a fire, right? You can stick some stuff in a bag. And if you're serious about preparedness, you've already done all that stuff, right? And I think most people have. Most people who watch these channels, excuse me, I just got to clear my throat. Okay, I kept expecting it to get better, and it got worse. That's why it's early in the morning. But if you're serious about preparedness, you already think about those things. You don't need me to tell you the next thing to stick in your bag, right? You don't need me to tell you, another way to start a fire, or to whatever, or to bushcraft, right? Because really survival and preparing to live in the world that's coming is not about bushcraft. the chances that you're going to have to go out in the woods and survive, with your fanny pack and family, are really pretty slim, to be honest. And I know it's cool, and I mean I love camping, and it's fun, but it's you know it takes your mind away and it takes your energy away from really preparing for what's coming. Now, what's coming? Like I said, how many things, how many choices do you have? What is the common what is the common theme there? What is the common response and defense against that? That is simply being separated from dependence on all the external systems. Are there gonna is inflation gonna hit hard? It's been hitting hard, right? Is the are we gonna have interruptions in supplies and food deliveries? Very possibly. Are you ready for that? You know what to do, right? You know what to do with that. Buy more food, right? Stock more food. Is there another pandemic coming? I think there's a good chance. Whether it's coming or not, they're going to tell it as it is, so that they're going to be able to clamp us down or try to. You know what to do with that. Stock up. Have everything at your house. Make it so that you don't have to leave your house for a year. You see, that's what serious preparedness is. It's not 30 days. It's not 60 days. It's a year or more. And I tell you, when you get to that point, if you haven't gotten to that point, I know that a lot of you have. If you haven't gotten to that point, I will tell you that when you do, you will have such a sense of security and calm. It'll surprise you. It'll shock you. You need to work for that. And then I always talk about multiple years. I talk about having it for 7 years. Is the grid going to go down? Very possibly. Very, very well could. We're coming into winter. We're coming into the election season. We're coming into the season for all of those things that are supposed to make us fearful and disrupt our political system, right? You know what those things are. So if the grid goes down, are you prepared for that? We're coming into winter, like I said. It's going to get cooler. Can you provide heat? Heat and light. Heat and light. Everybody talks about food, water, all that kind of stuff. That's true. That's important. Heat and light. Okay. You're going to find that when the grid goes down, those are the two things that a lot of people haven't prepared enough for. A lot of people have a lot of food, a lot of water, or the way to process water, but heat and light. And very few people heat with a wood stove. Very few people. I mean, there are some, and they're mainly out in the country. But most preppers don't live in the country. So can you heat your house? Do you know how to segment off your house and heat small parts of your house? If the grid goes down, you're going to need to know that. Are you going to be able to cook your food? Are you going to be able to see? Are you just going to be hiding when the sun goes down? I mean, these are the little things. Do you have enough batteries? Do you have a year's worth of batteries? I have multiple years of batteries. And I don't think most people think about that. Do you have a generator? What kind of generator do you have? Do you have the fuel to feed that thing? Or is it a solar generator? And if it's a solar generator, do you have the the ability to provide security when it's out there charging during the daytime? A lot of things to think about, but you don't need me to tell you all the small things. What you need me for, if you need me for this, is to ask the questions, to ask the big questions. And the big question on this is, are you serious about preparing? And then, how serious are you? Now, if you will really think about that, if you'll think about those questions, it will give you more to think about and more to do today and the following days than you can imagine. Because you need to have, your preparedness plan for the collapse of everything. It needs to be wide and deep. A lot of people are wide and shallow. Some people are deep and narrow. That's not what you want. wide and deep. You want to be self-sufficient, self-sustaining. That includes the ability to secure yourself and everything that you have. Those of you who have read my books, I'm not gonna show my books today. To be honest, we're still trying to catch up on filling all the orders. And for those of you, yeah, I know, what a problem to have, right? We have the sales are just knocking us off everything. They're just coming in. The new book, on Wings Like Eagles, set another record the other day on Amazon, but we are getting slammed here from people ordering it through our website, and we're still trying to catch up. I'm going to spend another whole day filling orders on books and mugs and everything like that. I thank you all for it, and thank you for your patience. Don't worry, they're coming. It's just that we're having a heck of a time keeping up with all the orders, so I'm not even going to advertise. I'm not even going to let you know. Yes, you can still order them. I'm not telling you not to. It's just that until I get caught up, I'm not going to show the books, right? You can get them through Amazon. If you want to get my books through want to get them fast, get them through Amazon right now, because until I get caught up, I'd rather not have a lot more orders coming in through the website. But if you want them signed, I don't mind. Just be willing to wait. Okay, that's all I'm saying. So anyway, ask yourself that question as you go through the day to day. And this is real preparedness. Go through the day. Where am I weak? What are the cracks that I need to fill? What could happen? And when you think about that, realize that the answer to that is anything could happen. Therefore, you need to be prepared for anything, which means everything. Okay? So anyway, think about that. Approach preparedness positively, not negatively. Approach it from a standpoint of insurance, feeling good that you're self-sufficient, feeling good that if the whole world goes to pot, like Jim Wyatt said in my books, if the whole world collapses, I don't want to notice. That's your goal. That's what your goal should be. Like I started saying, those of you who have read my books know exactly what I'm talking about. Know exactly. It's the blueprint. It's the total blueprint for being set. And if you haven't, order them from Amazon. The link is down below. Okay. And again, I don't mind if you order them through the website. Just I'm trying to catch up. Okay. All right. So make that your mental exercise for today. First question: am I serious? Am I really serious? Am I just doing this as a game? And if I'm serious, boy, that really adds some. It adds meaning to your life. If you don't have any meaning to your life, it'll add some. And if you already have meaning, which I hope you do, you should always have meaning in your life. The good Lord gave you one life, and it means a lot to Him. It should mean just as much to you. And so, if you already have this, should really fill it out. It should fill out anything in your life that is lacking, because it is a way that you look at your future, prepare for your future, and invest in your future and the future of those who depend on you. Okay? All right. You all have a good day. Again, for those of you who are serious about preparedness, yesterday's video showed me something. I encourage you, I'll put it that way, I encourage you to join us on Patreon if you want to keep getting all of the content. Okay? All right. You all have a great day. Remember that we prepare well today in order to live well tomorrow. And I'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.